Note down one thing. Reading too much does not make you a bigger IAS. Many of the things may confuse you even. Once you have your fundamentals clear, then if you think you should read n number of things. I consulted Wikipedia only twice in my life. Firstly, I want to look for additional information for gene therapy. It was a decade ago. And I scanned through 400 pages, I think, and I got only 4 meaningful lines. And secondly, in 2014, you have to. In 2014, I started working with the food gatherers of Jharkhand, Birhor. So after my first visit, I thought, let me see how my knowledge is. So I again went to Wikipedia, and whatever was there, I was literally confused. So I thought, okay, on Bhotiyas, I have experience of more than 30 years. Let me see what is there in Bhotiyas. It was even worse. So I put a comment. They said, we'll send the key to you, but they never sent it. So Wiki is not authentic, firstly. Sharmila asked a question whether levirate can be equated with ghost marriage. In ghost marriage, a person dies without getting married, and his younger brother or any of the close kin marries on his behalf. Levirate, what we call in the north, Dweevar, the second husband. A man is married to a lady, he dies, and his younger brother marries in his name. How can the two be same? So before consulting any new source, be sure about the authenticity. Let me tell you that when you are writing answer and you think that you do not have enough content to write about, then you should look for other sources. What you do is, you look at n number of sources, whatever toppers have given, and then you start writing answer, and the answer goes beyond limit. Then you get confused. What to omit and what not to, because subject is new, obviously. That you have to decide your word limit and speed limit. Ignore whatever UPSC says. They may ask you to write 150 words in 7 minutes, and they may not. So after today's class, do one thing. Mug up any 400, 500 words. Randomly, anything you feel like. And then write with full speed. And then decide per minute how many words you can write. That will be your word limit for the exam. If your speed is fast, obviously you can write more. If it is not, you have to write it. Accordingly, you have to mold your answer. Fine? So once you do it, that will help in your general studies also, in social issues also. Essay also, how many words you have to write in a page, you can decide. Generally, we advise that you should be able to write about 100 words on a page. That UPSC, that standard page that is there, you can get the format from Yadavji. And on that basis, you can decide how much you can write in an answer. Depending on your speed limit will be your time limit, or your time limit will be your speed limit. That day, again, those who were not present, let me tell you, we cleared certain terms for you to understand the topic. Firstly is ego. Ego means the person concerned. Myself. Everybody's self. My father's brother's daughter. Ego's father's brother's daughter. Then there are 3 terms: local, lineal, and archal. Local means residence, where the married couple would stay. Patrilocal, like in our society, the couple stay with the groom's father's family, is called patrilocal. Opposite is matrilocal. Others are also there that you will read in kinship if you have not read. Viri local is there, MB local is there, auxiliary local, NATO local, all those things are there. That will be talking in kinship. Then you have lineal. Lineal means inheritance and succession. We have patrilineal, from father to son to son to son. But is it a rule now? Is patrilineal a rule now? Then what is that? You must have read something in newspapers and Hindu Succession Act. And now daughters also can inherit. What are the consequences? What are the social consequences and economic consequences also? Anybody? See, if you keep silent, I drop the question. I don't think you people are dumb enough not to respond to even this small a question. I want you people to respond for two things. When you face interview, have you seen my recent video on frauds in UPSC? I want you people that during the classes these 4 months, two things with respect to interview you should develop. One is your dialogue delivery, and second is your body language. And unless you speak out, how can I realize whether you need improvising your dialogue delivery or not? Another thing is there, when you respond and you don't want to respond, you think maybe it's a silly answer. Let it be. Let the class laugh at you. But don't let the UPSC laugh at you. Commit all the mistakes here itself. So that you are not left with any mistakes to be committed in the UPSC. So keep speaking. Ignore. I may feel bad. I don't feel bad. I'm just one of you. I learn from you every day. Obviously, it is mutual, it's reciprocal. I generally try to laugh away. You must speak out. So, if daughters have the share in property, what will be the impact?
Sir, it is the notion in the society, basically at the root level, कि daughter cannot inherit the property. It is the mindset of the people.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it? To an extent, it may be
नहीं,
true, but not absolute.
Generally नहीं है, but most of the
It can be true for Punjab, Haryana kind of society, but not the country as a whole. Yes, sir.
Sir, traditionally we have a patrilineal society, so we see that there is a disparity between the holding of property or belongings. So that will somewhere go away eventually when more and more women will have a right to inheritance. The disparity that is we see in property holdings. That
it is good or bad?
It is good.
It is good. The daughter will also retain.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sir,
yes.
Yes, sir. So it will reduce maybe the cases of the domestic violence if the woman is also economically
Is it?
stable. Yes, sir, maybe. And maybe it can reduce
male ego is very fragile. Once he gets it, he'll demand more.
So, but the property will be in the name of the woman only, right?
Who says?
If she is inheriting from the parents.
My dear sir, if property remains in the wife of the woman, the husband will first demand that let us have joint share, and when it is done, he'll demand let it be transferred to me. If she doesn't agree, he'll divorce. And what is the status of the divorcee in our society? You know about it or not? Anyway, partly true, we can say. Yes, sir.
The same thing I was going to speak. It will have a positive and negative both impacts on the society. In a positive way, the woman would have better chances in her life because she will get property or money, anything. She will have a economic support.
Okay.
And,
no, tell me why I raised this question.
and negatively,
Nothing is beyond anthropology. Be sure. Everything, all your social issues are a part of anthropology. They may ask in anthro, they may ask in social issues. Now let me clear to you. The court has decided that daughters will be getting. First thing, let us say a man has 10 lakh rupees. He has 4 sons and a daughter. Means 2 lakhs each. At the time of daughter's marriage, the 4 sons will come to the father. Father, 2 lakh each. Her 2 lakh you want to spend on her marriage, or you want to give in dowry, whatever you do. But don't touch our 2 lakh. Is it possible? Second point. Without that, even if the brothers are elders and they fight with each other, even if the sister is younger, she compels them to sit across the table and talk to each other. And when sister also becomes a stakeholder, who will decide? Third, my wife has a right from, I'll ask her to get it from her brother. Obviously, nobody is going to give. He'll ask his brother-in-law, he'll ask his brother-in-law, whole of the country will be standing in the Supreme Court. But most important is who demanded this law. All my daughters sitting in the class, can you tell, will you be demanding your share of property? Then for whom the law is there? This is just to show to the West that we are advancing. This is an attempt to break, and breaking India forces are very powerful and they are getting powerful every day. Fine? In between, I'll keep asking questions, and be sure in general studies, your bookish answers are not going to help you qualify. Any one logic out of the box may shoot up your score. Yes, sir.
So it means giving right to the property to the female member in the family is not so good. I think it will
No.
create.
The issue is whenever there are one is law, one is society. You make law for the society. For that, society has to be aware enough, and society has to accept that. Society is not meant for law. Say, for example, you have law against dowry. How many marriages you have seen where dowry is not received or not given? Then, what for the law is there? I have seen some of them, but these are the people, they don't seek dowry or give dowry because of their personal morals, not because of law or without law. So, for that matter, these Akshaya Tritiya marriages, child marriages. When a society is ready for change and you bring law, the change becomes faster. It doesn't mean that I'm against that. It means what benefit women are going to accrue. Otherwise also, we have been talking about that women are a second sex. And this is there after the invaders started. If you look at the rights of the women that were there was no right for men. All the wealth was cornered by the head of the family, Karta. There were no individual rights. But there were 6 types of Stridhan. And only women could have, women could possess, and women could transfer. So women were considered superior. It is the impact of the West that has degraded the position of women. I'll advise, because most of you are appearing in 25, you will have enough time to go through my book, The Truth About Caste. It contains all the details with respect to your social issues, with respect to history, with respect to sociology and anthropology and a number of things, where I have clarified all these things. Yadavji, you can have it from him. This is available here only. Otherwise, publisher, he has kept the price to 349 rupees. I told him my students will have photocopy. So we had a special student edition for you people. It's for our students only. And is 120 rupees. You can have it. All the details are given here with references. Ironically, most of the books in history, sociology today, they do not give references. They only give bibliography in the end. And you cannot make up any head or tail of it. Fine? And then you have archy. Archy means authority. Patriarchy, matriarchy. In patrilineal matrilineal also we have other double descent is there, ambilineal is there, all those things are there that you discuss in kinship when we talk about. Actually, we'll discuss in economy. You have a principle of rationalization. In modern industrial society, it says that human beings in general are quite rational. But this rationality is only in terms of profit and loss. You are entering a venture with an objective of earning profits into that. If you realize that it is going to bring loss, you try to minimize the loss. If you think you will bring profit, you try to maximize the profit. This principle of economics, it says that people in traditional societies, we call them simple societies and we will discuss in economy, they do not have any rationality. Why? Because they don't bother about profit and loss. The principle is wrong because this rationality is not purely economic. Let us say in a village you have an old man is there and again 4 sons, call them, I am getting old, I may die any day, so in front of me you divide the property share. They go and within half an hour 3 come back. Bapu is not working. Yeah, what is not working? The eldest one, he wants a well also. So what is the problem? No, we won't give. Why? Is he taking well somewhere else? Has he told you that he will refuse water from the well? What is the problem? After all, he is your brother. Today you fight, you break each other's head, you will go to jail, criminal cases will be there, you will long to see each other throughout your life. Once you do it, throughout your life, you will enjoy each other's company. So rationality is here also. But this is a different type of rationality. And one interesting quote in economics there, and this quote is by Marshall Sahlins. And he says, money is to West, what kinship is to the rest. You can quote it in social issues, you can quote it in essay, you can quote it in anthropology, wherever you like. Fine? So for us, kinship is important. And if we are fighting for wealth, again it's a Western model. Fine? And then we have archy, patriarchy and matriarchy. But then, yes sir, we are coming to that. Clear again?
Sir,
Sir, yes sir.
so can we say agriculture is the root of all these social evils?
Do you think we didn't have agriculture in 10th century? My dear sir, in 10th century, our contribution to world GDP was 32.4%. In 17th century, that was reduced to 16%. And when British went off, it was 1.5%. And till date, it has remained the same.
Yes, sir. But is it from the later Vedic period?
Again, the problem is that whatever R.S. Sharma and D.N. Jha and Rumila Thapar have told you, when I talk about castes in the class, I apologize to my students that whatever I was reading for the last 50 years and teaching to my students, all was shit, nonsense. The reason is they have blamed everything to caste. Can you tell me what is caste? And let me tell you one thing, if I am not joking in the class, whatever I am asking and responding, everything is meaningful with respect to UPSC. So what is caste?
So caste is a Portuguese word derived from the castas.
It is not only Portuguese casta, it is Latin castos. Means they must be having that kind of system. What is the influence of this? It's related to purity of blood. And this kind of hierarchy they had. They had during Roman Empire. They had in Greece. They had in England up to 19th century. They had even in Japan. We had no such concept. Even all the historians, even the historian which I told you, even they agree that we had traditionally nothing like caste. And an American historian, Will Durant, he came to India and he has written in 1930 that caste never existed in India. Only guilds were there. Guilds, Vyapar Samooh. Pardon? American historian. He has written a book, A Case for India. It is in two parts, A Case for England, speaking on behalf of England, and then A Case for India, speaking as an Indian. If I were an Indian, what would I think about? Beautifully written book. And all the books which I refer to, I have with them. So there are nothing like caste. But still it was used as a model of social stratification in India. But if you look at the models of social stratification, we had two models of social stratification in India. One you call Varna and the other you call Jati. I doubt whether you understand the phonetics. In English there are 26 alphabets. We have almost double of that. So if you write it like this, how can you say it is Jati? It can be Jati also. It can be Ati Jati kind of Jati also. So we have to use phonetics. Like in English you have only one N. We have Ka Kha Ga Gha Nga, that is N. Cha Cha Ja Jha Nya, that is N. Ta Tha Da Da Na, that is N. Ta Tha Da Dha Na, that is also N. And that Ta Dha Na is, that is N. That is this N. But this is Na. Varana. So this is Varana. But what you find in the books? This is what you find. And that would mean Varna. Varna means color. So how many colors were there? 7 colors. Vibgyor. There were only 2 colors, black and white. Then how can there are 4 Varnas? All your texts, even your sacred texts, they write that spelling only, which is absolutely wrong. Right is this. Why? Because it is derived from the Sanskrit base Vri. Expansion is Varana. Varana means to select. So I am Varanam. Marriage as per your choice. Prakritik Varana, natural selection. So you could select your social status depending on your capacity, capability, and the experience with the Guru that you had. The Varana was assigned to you after you completed your graduation, once you became Snatak. Got it? So there are only 3 Varnas. You can call them classes also. Priestly class was there, warriors class was there, and trading and working class was there. The concept of Shudra, it is not mentioned in Rigveda, it is mentioned only once, in the 10th mandal only. And that is later, but still. And Manu doesn't mention. Why? There can be 2 reasons. Either the Shudra Varna was not there, or Manu did not consider them as a Varna. The fact is, because Varna is an achieved status, after a particular stage, you had to go to Gurukul. After that concept of Yajnapavi, Upanayan Sanskar, and where your education will start. And after completing the education, you will get the Varna. But if you could not be educated, if you didn't like education, you entered other things, obviously you won't become, like if you don't complete education, how can you become a graduate? But your children can become graduate. Same was the case there. So it was an achieved status. They talk about 10th mandal, where that Purush Sukta is there. They forget about 9th mandal, where it is written, a lady is telling that my job is to clear the rice and the wheat. My husband, he is a musician. My son is a warrior. Father is a doctor, I think. And doctors were not considered good at that time. So they were having different professions and living in the same family, and we are living happily. I think it is 902, 12, something like that. I'll give you the exact reference later on. So they won't look at it. They look at the 10th. And what is that? Brahmins from mouth, Kshatriyas from body, Shudras from feet. In that book I have written, if there are 4 parts, one has to be from the Shudras, from the feet. Let us say Brahmin are from feet, how does it make a difference? When you meet your elders, you touch his head or you touch his feet? Then how come feet are impure? When you go to a temple, do you have Shiroamrit or Charanamrit? Then how come feet are impure? This was a Western design to divide our society, and our historians have followed the same. British objective was to divide us. You may be surprised to know there was nothing called as Hindu religion till early 19th century. It was Sanatana Dharma only. Raja Ram Mohan Rai popularized the term Hindu religion. Before that it was not. And why it did, we will talk in political organization. When we talk about state versus stateless, I'll tell details about that. So firstly, they created caste. The superintendent of 1921 census, he writes that we imposed on the people of India, for which we criticize Indian the most. That is the caste. When he is admitting, what else proof you need? But they tell us Shudras have been exploited for 5,000 years. Once they say Vedics, they came 1500 BC, means 4,000 years ago. Then how come Shudras were exploited for 1,000 in advance? Again, we'll talk about when we talk about caste and jati, but that was deliberate. Firstly, they created caste, then they created martial caste. Sikhs are martial caste and Marathas are martial caste, so that they look down upon other castes. Then they created tribe. Then they created ex-criminal tribe. And after independence, what we have done? We have created OBC and then EBC. We are further dividing ourselves. What are we doing actually? I have been advocating recently that if you want to give reservation to only those people who have passed through government schools. No SC, no ST, no OBC, no creamy layer, everything finished. You won't need religion, you won't need caste. I know nobody is going to listen to me, but that can add to your score in your exam.
सर माय क्वेश्चन इज, जैसे आपने कहा कि जाति नहीं थी, बट द पॉइंट इज पीपल लाइक रैदास एंड कबीर हैव आर्ग्यूड. इनफैक्ट रैदास तो ये तक कहते हैं
थोड़ा
कि
माइक दो कर.
सर इनफैक्ट रैदास ये भी कहते हैं कि जाति जाति में जाति है, तीन के तन पात, रैदास न जुड़ सके मानुष जब तक जाति न जात. तो कंसिडरेबली वो लोग 15-16 सेंचुरी में इस पर बोल रहे हैं.
रायदास जी के गुरु कौन थे?
सर मुझे इतना भी याद नहीं,
ब्राह्मण थे,
बट
और
अगेन
उनके शिष्य भी ब्राह्मण थे.
यस,
फिर रायदास जी जूता गांठते थे
बट सर वो
और
तो
ब्राह्मण उनके गुरु थे और शिष्य भी ब्राह्मण थे.
बट सर ये तो एक वन साइडेड डिबेट होगी ना.
Why
इनफैक्ट
that?
गुरु
मैं
नानक,
हिस्ट्री बता रहा हूँ तुम्हें
हाँ
यार.
सर मैं एग्री कर रहा हूँ.
देखो, ये जानबूझ करके इस तरह से क्रिएट किया गया डिविजन्स को. अब जैसे आपके जो हैं महाराष्ट्र के जो सोशल रिफॉर्म में जिसका नाम आता है, बहुत क्या नाम है यार, 18th सेंचुरी के, ज्योतिबा फुले. बहुत तारीफ होती है. मुझे तो लगता है
he was
कि
an
वो
agent.
Christian थे.
He was an agent, वो मैं एग्री करता हूँ.
उन्होंने एक किताब लिखवाई, जाति भेद विवेक सार. लिखने वाले थे टी.डी. पडवाल. उन्होंने लिखा शूद्रों के कान में सीसा डाल दिया जाता था, और वही आज तक सारे हिस्टोरियन लिखते आ रहे हैं. मैंने बकायदा एक एक रेफरेंस दे के कहा है. महाभारत में जो है आपके भीष्म कहते हैं सबसे बड़ा अन्नदाता शूद्र होता है. तो इसलिए द इशू वाज हाउ टू डिस्ट्रॉय आवर सोसाइटी. मैकॉले ने कहा था कि मैं इंडियन सोसाइटी को इतना डिस्ट्रॉय कर जाऊंगा कि दे वोंट बी एबल टू रिवील देमसेल्व्स फॉर 1000 years. बहुत सारे लोगों ने कहा था, पर बहुत सारे लोगों को ये नहीं पता था कि सोशल मीडिया बीच में आ जाएगा, इंटरनेट आ जाएगा. अगर सोशल मीडिया इंटरनेट नहीं आता तो ये चीजें हमें बिल्कुल पता नहीं लगती भाई. जानते हो, इन 1820 आवर लिटरेसी रेट वाज 98%. कैन यू बिलीव इट? Anybody can believe? There's a book, The Beautiful Tree, written by Dharamapal ji. Dharamapal ji was a follower of Gandhi ji. गांधी जी ने धर्मपाल को भेजा कि ब्रिटिश जितने भी रिकॉर्ड हैं वो सारे लिख के लाओ, क्योंकि वो फोटोकॉपी और फिल्मिंग का तो कोई स्कीम था ही नहीं. सो 23 साल वहां रहे एंड ही नोटेड डाउन इन हिज ओन पेन, और ब्रिटिश ने बैन कर दिया था उस बुक को. अभी 2000 में वो छपी है बीजेपी के टाइम पे, कांग्रेस ने तो छपने नहीं दिया. द ब्यूटीफुल ट्री अवेलेबल है. At the time in 1820 our literacy was 98%. तो क्या उसमें शूद्र नहीं थे? At the time of independence your literacy rate was 12%. और ये दलितों को सिखाते हैं कि देखो ब्रिटिश की वजह से तुम्हारी कंडीशन सुधरी. जब पूरे कंट्री का जब लिटरेसी 12% था तो दलितों का कितना होगा भाई? जब 200 साल माइंडसेट डिस्ट्रॉय करते रहे वो लोग, और उसके बाद 70-75 साल से ये लोग डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं, So it's very hard to digest the reality. But you have to find out. You have to dig up the sources. And this is what I did. So it was this. So accordingly, we had 4 varnas, and we can convert into today's terminology. You can call them as Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Okay? Whenever the vowel has double sound, you put a bar over that. This is Shudra, Brahmin. And for S, actually, in English you have only one. In Sanskrit and Hindi we have 3. So this is S, this is S slash, this is S dot. So this is Kshatriya, this is Vaishya, this Cha is coming here to write phonetically correct. And all these details which I have, that it is derived from the Sanskrit Vri, Varna. This is on the basis of the writings of Shukraniti, this is 130 exact reference. Then we have Nirukt. Nirukt Shastri is there. This is, we have 214. Then we have Bhagavad Gita. This is 413. And then we have an anthropologist, an Indologist, Louis Dumont. Louis Dumont, he has written a book, Homo Hierarchicus. The reference is your volume, chapter, page. Louis Dumont, Homo Hierarchicus. He stayed here for 10 years to understand our caste system. These sources which I told you about, how we understand Varna.
So what is that 1:30?
This is chapter 4, Shlok 13. This is Khand 2, chapter 1, Shlok 4. Shukranati, chapter 1, Shlok 30. But it's written like that only. You don't have to tell the examiner what is what.
Yes.
ये सोशल डिवीजन तो थी. हाँ. Now what you have, you call it jati. Jati is derived from the Sanskrit word jati. You understand this word, GN? You may not. But when you read in the newspaper Gyanpith, it is written JNANA. Sanskrit word Gyati, that means kin group. So all people have kin groups. We have kin group and we call it Jati. Problem is not Jati, problem is Jativad. This was imposed on us by the British. ठीक है? And then you had the terms patrilateral, lateral, patri or matri, whatever you call. Lateral means on the side of. On the side of father, patrilateral, father's brother, father's sister. Matrilateral on the side of mother, mother's brother, mother's sister. And when both, they are called bilateral. On the father's side also, mother's side also, it becomes bilateral. Or collateral also you can say if you want to.
Yes.
And when you say bilateral marriage, it doesn't mean that you marry both sides. It means you can marry either of the two. You may marry your father's sister's daughter, you may marry your mother's brother's daughter. Not both.
Sir, in your book, In Search of Ourselves, like you have traced most of the ancestry by considering the ego as the male. So, like
I gave the reason also as a footnote. I clarify everything in the book so that no doubts are left. Footnote अच्छा नहीं लगता पढ़ना? I have written that all the original great anthropologists, they were all men. So when they would say I, even if the students were women, they followed them only. So that's convention, that's not a rule.
तो ये कर्नाट जाति को कास्ट सिस्टम में कब लोग कब को एज कास्ट सिस्टम नहीं करते
जब अंग्रेजों ने किया, the caste term was for the first time used in 1667 by the British for the people living on the west coast of India. ठीक है? कास्ट यूज किया था, वो तो कुछ भी नहीं चाहते थे हमारा ओरिजिनल. उन्होंने देखो एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ कि when they came here and they realized that our civilization, it is so old, so magnanimous, so much flourishing, they realized that how we have the right to rule this kind of civilization. So they had to show that our civilization was useless, meaningless, worthless. So they created our history. As per Bible and Quran, Earth came into being 4004 BC. Our history was much older. So they had to create history 4004 BC on this side. And the person which they found starting point, it was Chandragupta. They found a word in Greece, Sandrocotus. And they thought that Sandrocotus and Chandragupta are matching. So let us start from here. And this is written by them in their books only. We made that our starting point. But only thing fooling is that they could not differentiate between Chandragupta and Chandragupta Vikramaditya.
You're saying that Varna and Jati always existed, but giving them a negative connotation of caste system started after British started using that.
जाति नहीं थी पहले. हाँ. अभी तो मैं बताया मिडल्टन जो है उसका सेंसस 1921 का जो सुपरिटेंडेंट था, he has commented that we have imposed जाति on the people. On the basis of profession, firstly. तुम क्या हो? जी मैं धोबी हूँ. ठीक है, तुम्हारी कास्ट धोबी होगी. तुम क्या हो? जी मैं मोची हूँ. तुम्हारी कास्ट मोची होगी. इस तरह से. बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात. मध्य प्रदेश में गए, एक बंदा मिला. हाँ जी तुम कौन हो? जी मैं बैगा हूँ. बैगा इज द नेम ऑफ ए रिस्पेक्टेड पर्सन इन द ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज. चलो इस ट्राइब का नाम बैगा हो गया. 16 कम्युनिटीज हैं नागाज जिनका नाम नागा है. अपना नाम अलग अलग है उनके. उत्तराखंड में जिनमें मैंने रिसर्च किया है, भोटिया जो हैं, एक्चुअली जो है दे यूज्ड टू ट्रेड विद तिब्बत. तो पूरे हिंदुस्तान से कोटा आता तिब्बत जाने के लिए। संस्कृत में भूत कहते हैं तिब्बत को, तो वो जो कोटा होता था उसको भूतिया कोटा कहते थे, उन्होंने उनका नाम ही भूतिया रख दिया। जो अंडमान में रहते हैं वो अंडमानीज हो गए, जो सेंटिनल में रहते हैं सेंटिनल। पहले तो आइलैंड को नाम दिया, फिर वहां जो लोग रहते हैं उनको भी वही नाम दे दिया। ठीक है। So caste was imposed on us, and right from 1901 census the practice was there. रिजले ने बहुत कोशिश की, नहीं कामयाब हुआ। फिर ऐसे ही है, when they decided to destroy our education system to launch their own education system, हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम की वैल्यू हो गई 0। मैं थोड़ा और डिटेल में बता दूं, चलो। एक्चुअली क्या है कि our country, even if at 1700 our GDP was 16%, it was quite wealthy. In general, the rate of interest in the Hindu kingdoms, it was around 15%. In the Muslim kingdoms where jizya was there, it was too high. So artisans, they flourished, and our economy flourished because of them only. Because Brahmins, they had no source of earning, they had only teaching. ब्राह्मण को धन केवल भिक्षा, भिक्षा से ज्यादा तो चाहिए ही नहीं। और R.S. शर्मा ने भिक्षा को ट्रांसलेट कर दिया गिफ्ट। भिक्षा गिफ्ट होती है। They received plenty of gifts. So these artisan people, they sold to the Maharajas also, and the ordinary wealthy people also, and whatever wealth they had, they contributed to the temples who ran the schools. Temples had a lot of wealth, and temples had a lot of land as well. Education was free. All types of subjects that you study, they were also studying, including astronomy and geography. So when Macaulay came and traveled throughout the country, he didn't find a single beggar in the country. And then he realized that to destroy the country, you have to change the language. If you destroy the culture, change the language. And he did. Firstly, land reforms were done, which you call land reforms. The tax rate on land was increased beyond 50%. Poor farmers could not afford to pay. So either they sold their land to bigger landlords or to the government. Lakhs of crores of them, you can say. And lands from temples were also taken back. So temples became poorer. Also artisans, there where it was again 54% tax was there. So they could not fund the temples also. That means crores of people who became landless and without education, they were declared as Shudras by the British. And the term was for the first time scheduled caste was used by Simon Commission. It was not there previously. ठीक है?